All right, shalom, shalom, peace, peace. Come on in, come on in. Thank you so much for your patience as we continue in the book of Malachi. Praise Yah. All right, Tadah, my Shabbat. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started. May the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in Yahavah's sight. He is our strength and our Redeemer, and it is in His name, which is His authority, that we pray, praise, proclaim, project, and protect tonight's message. Amen. Come on in, come on in. Shalom, my Shabbat. Peace, family. How's everybody doing? Hopefully all is well. Thank you for joining us again as we're continuing our evening series. We got a series in the Rising where we're talking about these holy days, our holy days, and then we got the evening session. We're talking about Malachi, a familial perspective. We actually know that the name of the book, so-called the book of Malachi, or the scroll of Malachi, is actually known as the burden of the word of Yahavah to Israel. It is written by Malachi, but the official name, the official title, if you will, is a lot longer, a lot deeper, and gives us a lot more of an inclination and thought process as far as what the Most High has. And so we thank you guys for being on. We appreciate you very much so for being on again. Mic check 1 2, microphone checker 1 2 checker. Can y'all hear me and see me okay on these platforms before we get into this? Get ready to do our Bible pledge and jump right in. Yes, great. Sounding great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. How is everybody doing? And brothers are coming in first. I love it. How y'all doing, brothers? Hopefully you're doing well this evening. Just as a reminder, I will be on tomorrow. At least the goal is, I won't say 100%, but I'm trying my best to make sure that I will be on tomorrow. Matter of fact, I'm going to do something for one of our brothers real quick that I said I would do. I didn't necessarily say I was going to do on a live session, but why not? I record it simultaneously on something else so I can post it later on and help put his information out about the business, the great business that he has going on. But let me record this real quick. I received a gift again. The workman is worth his hire. I made sure I gave donation for it or gave payment for it that was due. He does great work. But before we get started, and since we don't have everybody on anyways, I'll go ahead and put this stuff up real quick, which give me a second. I don't have a knife or anything up here, or at least not one that I see, but we're going to help promote Brother Dwayne's stuff real quick. He's doing some great work. I saw some stuff that he put out there for you, big brother, big double OG, triple OG. Right? So you guys have seen me wear this, whether I wear it this way or whether I wear it this way. Copper bracelet. It actually is the quav or the Kof, which it talks about being prepared and things of that nature. But he actually doesn't realize. Well, he might realize when he made this that this is actually the first character of my Hebrew name, my Hebraic name, my Avila name. So if you're not aware, Brother Dwayne, he makes things like this. So he made a bracelet for myself. He made another bracelet that's exquisite for my wife. I've shown it before on our platform and on shoutouts and stuff. My wife loves it. He made a bracelet for my son. That is amazing as well. So he sent something. He's actually getting some stuff, and he's getting rings. I'm not sure if Elder Alma is on, but if she's not on, hopefully she's not surprised. He's making something for her. And she liked the last thing. So I said, yeah, keep on going. Let's keep this going. Praise God. So we've already got something else on the way. But he did send a little something. Praise God. He sent a little something to myself. So I'll go ahead and share what it is. If I can open it. He made sure this wasn't going to come open easy. Praise God. Let me just see if I got something sharper. I'm just using keys, so that's I don't have a knife on these keys. Okay. All right, let's see what we got here. At least I think it's his. Pretty sure it's his. All right, give me a second. We opened up the box. Thank you, Brother Dwayne. And shout out to Brother Dwayne, Sister Beck, Brother Abram, Sister Donna. Hopefully you're being safe out there on the road. I say y'all bless Brother Dwayne. Got him out of a situation he had and put him back in the mad trucker position. All right. Okay, we cooking with grease now. All right, let's see what we got going on. Praise y'all. I'm excited. Oh, wow. Left me a little note on the inside. I don't know if I can read the note to everybody. Let me see. Oh, I got 2 notes. And I can't open up the top. Wow. That is on there. Either that or I'm just weak. Okay. Could be. Let's see. Okay. All right. Okay. Yeah. That's for me. All right. Thank you, Brother Dwayne. Love you. Got a bunch of messages in here. Look at this. I like little stuff like this. Okay. By the way, Brother Dwayne, you know what I'm saying. I would never do that to you. Love you, bro. Thank you. I don't care about well, I mean, I won't say I don't care about packaging, but this is, the heart that you have for y'all's people and the heart that you have for me as a little brother. I appreciate you. Brother Dwayne, we see you out here. Okay. Oh, okay, I see. So for the okay, so I'm assuming this is the oh wow. Okay. Alrighty. And the right perfect size. You know what he doing with the size. So I got the ring on. Praise y'all. Give me a second. I'm gonna look for the what I did. Oh, I'm about to say what I did with the other package. I'm gonna show you guys in a second. He hooked his brother up again. I'm gonna take this one off. We're gonna wear yours today. I'm gonna show y'all in a second. This is out. Please forgive me. I think it's called Maya something. Maya Copper something. Maya Copper something. I know the first part of the name because my wife's name is Maya Mya. But I believe, yeah, I got it on there. We share it on Facebook. So if you want to go support it, look for some stuff and support. He does excellent work. As I showed you this one already, this is one from before. I'm gonna put this one on too today. We're gonna just wear all your stuff, brother. Let's see. You said please read it. Okay, I read the inside. Is it? Am I not supposed to be doing something? Hold on. I'm not supposed to open it. I'm sorry. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, I didn't read the paper. You want me to read it out loud? Is that what you're saying? Please read it out loud. Is that what you're telling me to do? Now I feel like I'm being disobedient. I'm sorry. Was that not? I'm so excited. I just wanted to go ahead and open it up. Maybe I shouldn't have. Should I stop? Tell me if I should stop, Brother Dwayne. I feel bad. I love the ring. The ring is banging though. You know, if you make something for me, I'm aware. Yeah, I saw their messages on the box. I see you talking about. I mean, basically one talking about what you already told me on the phone about if anybody's dissatisfied, which I am not for sure. I was on the last one. Then on the other side, it talked about how you talking about on the side of the box or on the inside that you want me to be mindful not to do things around high voltage sources. Is that what it is? Okay, and the paper. Yeah, I'm looking at the paper now. The one that was inside the case for, I'm assuming the other bracelet. You want me to read it out loud, or are you just saying read it? I'm not going to throw it away. I just don't know if you want me to read this in front of everybody. And it's a lot to read. I don't know. It's a lot to read. Oh man, I love stuff like this, for real. And I like the way it looks. It looks like a scroll, for real. I like that. Right? Okay, it's for me. Yeah, most definitely. Okay, I'm gonna read it for sure. Okay, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't breaking any rules or anything. All right. So this is the one that he had. Well, I'm gonna show you all the one that he had before. I'm gonna put it on the left side, and then I'll show you the new one on the same side as the ring. Thank you, brother Dwayne. Excellent work as always. Looking forward for the ones that are still coming for the fam. Oh wow, I see it. Praise Yah. I see it. Okay, let me open it up. I see it. Yeah, perfect fit again and all that. Okay, so this is the one. This is the Kof, right? By our brother Dwayne. Thank you again, sir. I'm gonna post literally what I'm talking about. It's gonna be the same thing. So I don't know if that's great promotion for his product or not, but I'm gonna put this video up for you in a couple spots. Let everybody know I thank you. I'm proud of you doing great work. Right? Be safe out there on the road. So this is the one he sent before. Praise Yah. When he sent the other stuff, he sent us some other stuff for the family too. This is the new one. Matter of fact, I guess I'm wearing it wrong, right? Because it should be for the person who's viewing it. I'm still getting used to the last few years. I've been getting used to jewelry, so I'm learning. Right. So this is Lamed, the character Lamed. It's backwards here, and maybe it's backwards there. Not sure, but you can see the character Lamed, right? Character for number 12. Character for the shepherd, for their great shepherd, represents Yahashavai, also represents pastors, so credits. I appreciate that. And here's the ring on the same hand, the Ankh. And once again, for those who are on here, why are you wearing an Ankh? I say this over and over again, but I'll do it one more time. The Bible does not say you can't wear an Ankh. Ankhs are not specifically created to only be able to go with spirits or deities or netchers in Kemet or in Kush. It actually is a cursive way even of saying the Tav. And if you talk to an Ethiopian person or a Cushitic person, they'll even tell you it's ours, meaning that it's not even a Kemetic thing, which is the truth. So, Brother Dwayne, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You can be getting more business from me, and I'm honored. So I'm wearing Dwayne's products today. I'm sorry. What's the name of the company, Big Bro, again? Maya, Maya something, right? Maya Copper something. But thank you, Brother Dwayne. Appreciate you. All right. So there you go. Some advertising. I appreciate y'all. If you need more information, we actually put some of his stuff on Servants of Christ Facebook page. I've talked about this stuff before on TikTok, and we put it up on the shout out before. But if you want more information, look for the Mad Trucker. You can look for him on YouTube. You can look for him on TikTok, MADD. Or you can even look for the Maya Copper or Maya Prince Copperwork, excuse me. Maya space PRINCE and then Copperworks. Maya Prince Copperworks. Look for that. That's the name of the company. Has a Facebook page for business and all that. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. So I'll be rocking. I probably won't be rocking all of it. Who knows? I don't know. I'm kind of feeling this. Is this why everybody be wearing all the gold and the jewelry loose like this? Is this what we used to be like when we were kings, when we was Nigers? No, this is me to the T. I still got to get better. I'm gonna be better because I be flossing your stuff and I don't be cleaning the stuff. I know how to clean it because you taught me how to clean it. And I like copper, and I kind of like copper when it starts changing color. So, but I'll be better because I'm rocking somebody else's brand. So I'll be better about that. But anyways, thank y'all. Appreciate y'all. Let's go and support. Got so many different talents here: shirts, jewelry, food, delivery, health products, natural medicines, working on stones, natural, this, that, whatever, what is it, natural sodas, medicinal sodas. We got so much stuff going on at SOC, cookies, Sister Mavis cookies. The list goes on and on and on. So let's support each other as much as we can. That's part of what we're commanded to do. Speaking of which, now let's get into this word. Thank you so much. Thank you for waiting around. Appreciate you. All righty. So today we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get into this. We're going to go into Malachi. We're getting back into our Malachi series. Malachi chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 7. We're going to read through verse 15. Once you have it, say amen. Say I got it. Say I'm with you. Say I'm listening. I'll probably post it tomorrow. If you don't see it tomorrow, just remind me, Brother Dwayne, but I'll try to post it tomorrow. This evening, I got to finish up some stuff for Feast of Tabernacles and some posters for all the holy days coming up. So, but thank you so much. And we'll be rocking this tomorrow for sure. For sure. Right. It actually goes well. I told y'all I'd be praying about what I'm going to wear. So I'm looking at what I'm wearing. I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, I see it. I see it. I see it. All right. So, praise Yah. Praise Yah. So, let's see. So, welcome to everybody. Once again, we're going to start Malachi chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 7. We ended reading verse 7 on Friday. We'll start at verse 7 today. Shalom to everybody. Peace. How you doing, Brother Alton, Brother Dwayne, Brother TJ. Let's see. Sister Deborah, Sister Deborah. Can we say Brother Jermaine's email again? Sure. Jermaine, you can reach him or just text me for his number. I'll try to remember, big bro, to text you with it too. But this email is Jermaine, Jermaine, insurance, INSURANCE @gmail.com. JermaineInsurance@gmail.com. By the way, please get your shirts, t-shirts, long sleeve, hoodies, sweatshirts, whatever you're getting for Feast of Tabernacles. We're getting closer and closer. So if he's going to make them, he's doing a lot of this stuff on his own. So if not almost the whole process, right, on your own. So please make sure you get your stuff ASAP if you'd like to be able to have your shirt. Prayerfully, we'll be able to get them to everybody. If depending on when you get him, what's necessary. Prayerfully, he'll be able to get out to everybody soon. How you doing, Sister Joy? Wearing copper keeps you young. Praise Yah. Right? How you doing, Brother Darius? If I miss your name on any platform, charge to my head, not to my heart. Thanks for being on. How you doing, Brother Dennis? How you doing, Sister Mignon? Big Brother Thomas. I don't know if I said shalom to you earlier. I know you were first on. Out of everybody, how you doing, Minister Morel? Everybody, appreciate y'all. Thank you so much. All right, let's go ahead and get into tonight's, the word for tonight. We're starting Malachi chapter 3, verses 7 through 9. Excuse me for a second. Let me make sure I have clean hands. Praise Yah. And we're going to go ahead and get started. We're starting once again tonight, Malachi chapter 3, verse 7. This is like part 7 or 8 of the series, something like that. And you can go back and look at all these different things on the playlist on this platform over here. I'll say the platform again at the end specifically, but you guys know they're trying to shut us down for every little thing we do or say. So thank you. Thank you for joining us on a Monday. Besides classes and stuff like that, I'll be off on tomorrow and Wednesday. And don't forget. Well, actually, excuse me. I'll be on the live session for the Rising tomorrow, but technically it's a day off for me. But I'm doing a makeup for being off on Thursday and being sick. So I'll see you guys for a message tomorrow as we continue with our Holy Days series. The playlist is finally 100% on, so you can find the playlist easily on certain platforms. We'll tell you the name of the platforms you can go to in a second, but we do have the recordings up now in a playlist where you can look for all of them and find them all in the same place. So Tadah, my Shapachin, thank you so much for being on. Very much so appreciate you all. Hope that your day is going well. We're going to go ahead and say our Bible pledge and jump in. Praise God. Thank you once again, Brother Dwayne. Appreciate you. Thank you, everybody, for going ahead and listening in. And thank you if you can support our brother and continue to support each other. We love y'all, honor y'all. Thank you, appreciate you, et cetera, et cetera. All right, let's go ahead and get into this. You can say we're going to say our Bible pledge. You can put your right hand in the air or your device or your Bible and just repeat after me. This is my Bible. This is my sword. And this will I trust. For Yahashavai is Lord. No sword of God shall ever be heard. For this is my Bible. And this is Yah's word. Hashem Yahavah. Amen. Yahavah Shem, his name is authority. Let it be done unto us. We're going to go ahead and read while we're still standing. Malachi chapter 3. We're going to start at verse 7. And this is going to bring the house down for many of us, especially if you've been going through this series, because now there's no doubt what we're talking about with this burden of the word of Yahavah. Let's go ahead. Holy Spirit, have your way. Malachi chapter 3, verse 7. Malachi, the burden of the word of Malachi to Israel, right? And going to Gamal chapter 3 and starting at verse 7, which is Zion. Here we go. It says this. It says, even from the days of your fathers, ye are gone away from mine ordinances, my law, and have not kept, have not guarded. Return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith Yahavah of hosts. But ye said, so Yahavah said, that's what you need to do. Now Israel says, but ye said, wherein shall we return? Right? Then what did Israel say? Will a man rob Elohim? But Elohim says, yet ye have robbed me. But ye say, not him, but you say, Israel, wherein have we robbed thee? His answer, in tithes and offerings. Ye, which is plural, you all are cursed with a curse. For ye, for you all, have robbed me, this whole nation, all of Israel, you robbed me. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, the storage facility for the family, that there may be meat in mine house for my family, and prove me now herewith. Prove what? Saith Yahavah of hosts, if I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive. Verse 11, and I will rebuke the devourer for your sakes, and he shall not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before the time in the field, saith Yahavah of hosts, and all nations shall call you Barak, for ye shall be a delightsome land, saith Yahavah of hosts. If you notice once again too, and all this, he keeps saying Yahavah of hosts throughout this whole thing. So he's not coming to you as Yahavah, this, that, whatever. He's coming to you as, yes, husband, his father, but really he's focusing in on being over the army, being over those who can come and get you. How you doing, Sister Beck? Right? All right, so here we are. Verse 13, your words have been stout against me, saith Yahavah. They've been stout against me. They've been stout. I just going to stop. We're still reading. I promise you, I'm not going to say it. Actually would say stout against me have been your words, right? That actually would be the way you would say it in Hebrew as far as the order. But anyways, this word stout here is actually meaning it strengthens or prevails or is hardened. You're courageous. You got enough courage. In other words, you firm. You grow from your resolute. In other words, you got something in your head. I'll give you this. This is what y'all really saying. I'll give you this, Israel. You got some moxie. You got a I'm sorry, sisters. Brothers would say it like this at some point. You got a pair on you. How you doing, Sister Omika? Right? Brothers would say to each other, locker room talk, or when we talking to each other, it's kind of rude, so forgive me. But we say, like, you got a set on you to be talking against me the way you talk about me, saith Yahavah. Yet ye say, when I tell you this, ye say, even though I'm telling you this, what do you say? What have we spoken so much against thee? Same thing we've been talking about in this series, making excuses, trying to get away from what Yah says. Verse 14, ye have said, it is vain, it is empty, it's like vapor to serve Elohim. And what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance? What does it even mean to keep his law? Sounds familiar? What is it even? Why should we be worried about? I mean, I know we're supposed to be ordained and keep ordinances, but why would we follow his ordinances? And that we have walked mournfully before Yahavah of hosts. In other words, we've cried tears, we've mourned. Remember, he said earlier, he admitted, Yahavah admitted, hey, you guys give me moldy bread and bad offerings and put them on the altar. But even though, you said a set of bolts, right? But even, and you put all this stuff on the altar that you wouldn't even give to anybody else. And then you got the nerve to cry. He knows you crying. He knows you mourning. Last verse 15. And now we call the proud happy. Yea, that they work wickedness. I'm sorry, that they that work wickedness are set up. Yea, they that tempt Elohim are even delivered. This is what we teach. That even those, let me say verse 15 again, those who are proud, we don't call them proud. We say, man, he just happy. How dare you say that he's proud? He don't need to humble himself, right? You hear a person say stuff like that all the time. Man, they say that you this, that you proud. You're not proud. You just find out who you are. You're just happy, and they can't handle it. There can be truth sometimes, but here Yah says that's not the case. He says you try to make excuses for them lame offerings, literally lame offerings. Literally sick offerings, literally offerings that make persons disgusted and they don't even want to come to temple because you've given Yah the leftover. And you call that happy. Yea, they that work wickedness are set up. You make sure that you set up the persons that are wicked. You can't wait to set up the Will Smiths and the Jada Smiths. Then all of a sudden when they fall, you want to act like you're surprised. But the reality is they were wicked in the first place. They that tempt Elohim are even delivered. Now, when we talk about deliverance, we're not trying to deliver Yah's people. We're trying to deliver Esau. Remember, that was part of the whole thing. Is the spirit of Esau is something that everybody likes, to the point to where men are leaving their wives of their youth, or men were leaving the wives that they've been with for a really long time to be able to go ahead and get a little piece of something else. And now they're starting to have second families, and they're starting to forget about the fact that Yah wanted them to be holy, one with him. And if these wives, it's not so much that they're not born Israel because they can be grafted in. There's not so much that as the fact that they are not even trying or attempting to be what Yah says. But we're leaving our own, trying to find somebody else, just like brothers be talking about nowadays. Oh, she fine, she this. And by the way, I apologize. You may be seated to go back to what you're doing in the presence of the Most High Yah. Tonight, we're going over Malachi chapter 3, or what's actually known as the burden of Malachi. Right? The burden of the word of Yahavah to Israel. It's written by Malachi. And we just read Malachi chapter 3, verses 7 through 15. And we see now that it's come to a head. And do you know that when I tried to teach this, right, Thursday, hopefully we'll finish the rest of chapter 3. And then on Friday, we'll be finished with chapter 4 completely. We'll do chapter 4 all on Friday, and we should be finished with this all together. Praise Yah. You know how many persons, especially Israel nowadays, where this whole thing, because remember, what is the point of this word? It's the burden of Yahavah, to tell Israel how much Yah loves us and hates Esau, yet we love Esau and we hate Yah. And the main culprit is the fact that we give Yah leftovers and never give him what's due him. That's the main piece of evidence that we got. And I feel like Sister Mavis, I might have missed you. If you're on, Sister Mavis, Shalom, peace, how you doing? Right? But this is the main thing that we're seeing. The main thing that we're seeing is that we want to give Yah leftovers, and then we're upset when Yah comes and sends a messenger and says, hey, there's this burden, there's this word that's heavy on me. I've got to tell you because I love you. And you keep saying that I don't love you. You keep saying that you love Esau, and you keep saying it's okay to hate me, but you want me to still bless you while you're hating me. This is the whole discussion of Malachi, period. Right? We've been seeing this over and over again. Starts off in Malachi chapter 1, verse 2, which really would be the beginning of Malachi. Chapter 1, verse 1 is actually the name of the scroll, right? But what we call Malachi chapter 1, verse 2, it starts off with Yah saying, I love you. And Israel saying, how do you love us? And the Most High speaking to us. He's speaking to his wife, the perfect husband. This ain't, chopped liver. This ain't FindKofi. This ain't whoever your husband is. This ain't you as a man who has fault. This is Yah, who's never failed, who's never lied, who's always honored his word, who's been obedient, who's been truthful, right? This is Yah. And he says, and this whole thing is basically Israel saying why Yah doesn't love them, but then saying, Yah, bless me, even though they won't give Yah what he deserves. This is the entirety of the scroll, or what we would call the book. That's basically, in essence, if you get that, you get the whole thing. You'll see where he starts talking about Israel as a whole. And then you'll see he starts focusing in on the Levites and saying the Levitical priesthood is at fault. And they're the ones that are doing all these things to him. And they're the ones that are messing things up, right? And then you see him go from there to saying the Levites, not only that, but now you're getting leftovers from the people, and you're taking the leftovers from them and giving it to me, to where it's rank, it's foul, F-O-U-L, it's foul, right? It's something that I have nothing to do with. It's something I want entirely nothing to do with. He says, the offerings you've been giving me, the moldy bread, he said the corrupted bread, if I'm not mistaken, the corrupted bread, the lame, the sick animals, right? Because the animals are supposed to be clean, perfect, lawful. If they're not worthy of a sacrifice. But instead of doing as David said, I won't give anything to Yahavah unless it costs me something. If it doesn't cost me, if it doesn't take a chink out of my flesh, or a chunk out of me, or if it doesn't set me back a little bit, it's not really an offering, because I could just give anything to anybody, right? And that's what we're used to. You used to try to go to Walmart because Walmart would take your little $2 or whatever for something that somebody actually, if they, before they sold it, would have sold it to you for $10. But now that they've sold the brand, Walmart can go ahead and sell so much of it and make so much of it and make it poorly, they'll sell it for $2. right? And we have a mindset that, well, shoot, I'll give my little $2, and I don't want to help the mom and pop store, even though the mom and pop store, if there are more of them, then there's more of us in business, right? But no, I'm not going to do that because I want to go ahead and give. Yah says, you guys are treating me like that. You keep giving me all these little bits and pieces and stuff. But see, Walmart, they'll go ahead and they'll use that to rule over you. He says, this ain't even about rulership, even though, yes, you could say it from a kingdom sense. He's talking like really from a husband-wife relationship. And he's trying to tell his wife, look, he keeps calling himself what in this? He doesn't call himself Yahavah Elohim anywhere close as much as he normally does. He calls himself Yahavah of hosts, saying that basically, look, like I'm over the armies. He's saying, I'm talking to you as your husband, but I need you to comprehend, Israel. I'm over the armies. Like I'm the one that's coming back. You know, when I come back, when Yahashavai, let's say it's Yahavah, not me, but when Yahavah sends Yahashavai back, and Yahashavai comes back in the cloud, and he comes back with an army, and he has a name written on the side of his thigh, on his pants, right? He says, I'm over that type of army. He says, like, he said, you're messing with the wrong one. Not only messing with your husband, but you're about to go against the person trying to fight against him. If you're going to lay down in bed with them and deal with stuff, he even told the Levites, if you guys can, and he even talked to the husbands too. And he tells the Levites, though, he said, you guys are so off. He said, everything you call a blessing, it will be cursed. Anybody ever been there before? Where it seems like you're getting all this stuff, but every time you get something, it seems like it's more of a hassle than it is a blessing. But you would think it's for me at some point. It might be coming from some of the pieces you don't want. He said, I'm gonna make sure everything you have is cursed. He even starts off in Malachi chapter 3. We went over this one Friday. He starts off in Malachi chapter 3 saying he's going to send his messenger, and the messenger shall prepare the way. And he shall prepare the way before me, saying that basically Yahavah is going to come in the form of Yahashavai. He's going to send John the Baptist. And he says that he's going to have to purify all this thinking that you had. He's going to have to tempt you. He's going to have to put you through the fire so he can see you as gold and silver. He said he doesn't do this with the leadership. He said he's going to have to cleanse us as if with the fuller soap. That means that there's somebody who walked around and came to your house, got your dirty clothes, got all the stuff that you took off the sheep and all that, and would take them and clean it up. But he said, you guys are foul. You guys are stench. You guys don't realize. Look, if you're the wife of Yahavah and he's trying to be intimate with you and you smell it, think about what he's saying. He's saying, I'm going to have to get the fullers. He said, I'm going to have to get the people that wash clothes. They're going to have to take you and wash you down. He said, when Yahashavai comes, he said he's going to have to wash his wife. Just like Ephesians chapter 5 says, right? Husbands, right? Love your wives as Yahashavai loved the assembly and gave himself for it. But when you keep on reading, it says that you got to wash her by water of the word and present her unto yourself. Cleanse her, give her law, give her what's legal. Yah says, I'm dealing with a wife, and this wife, Israel, keeps messing up and keeps telling me why she doesn't have to love me back and give me the best, even though I give her everything. I'm not trying to talk about a particular brother or sister. I'm talking about this particular word. This is the thought process. This is what's going on. This is the precedence that's being set here. This is what's going on as far as us to be able to catch what Yah is saying to us. This is the parabolic way of looking at this. Right? And so here we get to this point. We talked about this. We ended here on Friday. We started here tonight, verse 7. Even from the days of your fathers, even from the days of your forefathers, even from the day of Israel that came before us, what? Which means even from the days of your fathers, meaning your fathers were doing despicable things. But he said, y'all are worse. How you doing, Sister Tia? He said, even from the days of your father, y'all, in comparison to them, when you look at them and you read their stories and say, how wicked were they? He said, y'all are worse. He said, you've gone away from mine ordinances. That's my laws. And it's always interesting that those who are ordained nowadays are the ones who say that they shouldn't follow ordinances or laws. This is why they had to lie to you and tell you there's only 2 ordinances. I think the Roman Catholic Church says there's 7, but the Protestants, at least many of them, say there's 2. They only say the only ordinances are marriage and are the Lord's Supper, which is communion, which means that it should be Passover, but they don't even do that, right? And they don't carry it properly. They don't follow any laws. They keep telling you they don't have to, even though the only way you can be ordained is to be ordained by the state or the country that you're in. Right? He says, but even your fathers did better with keeping the law. He said, but you don't. He says, return unto me, and I will return unto you, saith Yahavah of hosts. But at the end of verse 7, he says, but when I said return unto me, you said what? Wherein shall we return? In other words, you ain't got nothing for me to return to. What am I supposed to return to? Did not Yahashavai tell us, the one that's going to be sent, according to Malachi chapter 3, verse 1? Didn't he tell us, beloved, let not your heart be troubled, let not your passions be troubled. If you believe in Abba, also believe within me. In my Father's house, there are what? There are many add-ons to the house for you to live in. There are many mansions. If it was not so, I would not have told you. I go to prepare a place for thee, that where I am, you shall be with me, what? Also? And right? And even around the time he's talking in chapter 13, 14, 15, you're still going to have somebody later on talk about, show us the Father. And he has to get on him. Have you, and he says, how long have I been with you? He doesn't even answer. Like, he gets a little perturbed. When Yahashavai gets perturbed, you better pay attention, right? Somebody says, show us the Father. Was it Thomas, I believe? Or was it, could have been somebody else, forgive me. But I believe it could have been Thomas. But anyway, somebody says, show us the Father. And he says, how long have I been with you? He gets irked. Like, how long? You don't have a relationship enough with me to know that if you've seen the Father, you've also seen me. I told you, I am the Father and the Father is me. Going back here to Malachi chapter 3, that he's sending, right? Yahavah is going to send himself, and before that, he'll have his prophet to make, or his angel or his messenger to make the way straight. So he says, he says, return unto me, Israel. Stop giving me the foolishness. Stop giving me a piece of yourself. Stop giving me a piece of offers. Stop giving me the stuff that you wouldn't give to others, and that you expect somehow for me to take the little pieces and garbage pieces you give me and somehow make a great meal out of it. He says, stop giving me that. And he says, return unto me. He said, but then when he said that to us, our response was, wherein shall we return? See how crazy that is? And then they asked the question, will a man rob Elohim? Will a man rob Elohim? He says, yet ye have robbed me. How you doing, Sister May? Sister Lawson? He said, but you have robbed me. He said, but then you say, wherein have we robbed thee? His response is where? Right? Now let's have a conversation. We got to have a conversation about this tonight, because a lot of Israelites, a lot of followers of the way, we are trying our best to tell everybody why we don't have to give our best to Yah. What, right? So many sermons now, so many persons I'm hearing stuff and saying, oh, the tithes were only grain, maybe some livestock, but you never tithe money, which is in a sense is kind of sort of correct if you know that money's not real, but that's not law at all, and that's not the truth. You know where the first tithe is mentioned? Somebody tell me. We've did this so many times. Somebody already probably knows the answer. Somebody tell me, where's the first time that a tithe is mentioned in the Bible? It's actually mentioned several places, but we'll go ahead and just say the word tithe, because a lot of people don't know the word tithe is not even the original word that was used. But anyways, the word tithe, when you see it in your Bible, in English especially, where's the first place that you see it mentioned? Anybody recall? Anybody aware? Where's the first place that you see it mentioned? The tithe. That's right. Abram. And he's giving it to who? To the king of Shalom, who also is a prophet, right? He's the prophet. He's also the king of Shalom, right? He is Melchizedek, or who we call Melchizedek, how we pronounce it today, Melchizedek, right? And he finished saving Lot, and to save Lot, he had to save all of Canaan from wicked persons who were getting tributes from all these places and were taking people as slaves and stuff like that. He defeats them, right? Him and his house defeat them, right? Free everybody up. And then what do? Because they live in Canaan, the priest of Canaan, who is also the king of Canaan, they give him 10% of everything. That's what it says. And the king of Salam, the king of Salem, the king of Shalom, by the way, that'll become Yahashavai or Jerusalem later, right? Which is Yahavah is the head of our peace, right? That's what Yahashavai is that Yah is the head of our peace, right? Also can be talking about a city as well, the city of Yah, right? But Yah is the head of our peace, or the city of peace, even if you want to go there. But Yahashavai or Jerusalem. So he tithed and gave where Yah would later bring us and make the capital, if you will, of our people, of our nation. Right there should show you, right? Like, there's a law. If you do apologetics, which is debate basically, or the ability, really, we say when we teach class, apologetics is the ability to defend that which you believe. Okay. But in essence, you could call it debate, right? Debate has rules. So we could call it debate. Either way, apologetics. When you look at apologetics, to apologize or to be an apologist for something is to make sure that you can defend it, but also look at the other side of it, all these different things. But in apologetics, they teach something, and we teach it in our class. In apologetics class, we teach something called the law of first mention. Right? If you've never heard of the law of first mention, the law of first mention basically just says that if you want to know what something means, you should look at the first time it's mentioned. Because the further back it's mentioned, the closer you are to the origin. Right? The further back it's mentioned, the closer you are to the salvage or the salvaging or the salvation of it or the salving of it, going back to its original intent. And so if the first one we see in scripture, the first time we see in scripture is Abram, right? Or at least what we want to officially call Abram or Abraham giving a tithe to the person who is the priest of the place. Even though he freed the place, he realized that whatever he received in his victory, the victory belongs to Yah. And if it belongs to Yah, then whoever represents Yah should get what? Something in the storehouse. And it wasn't a tithe of just corn. It was a tithe of everything. So anything and everything that they got, 10% went to the priest. It's just law, right? I could go into all the ins and outs of it, but that's not our focus per se. But I just want to make that clear because, Israel still has this big problem where Israel wants to get scraps or give Yah scraps, right? But right, like, Israel likes telling everybody why they should eat the scraps from the master's table, including Yah. Right? We love to give out scraps and we love to make excuses for it. But I need you to comprehend. See, that's why we don't even know. And by the way, this knowledge was taken away. See, we forget for Mansa Musa to become who he was. Guess what he had to do? He had to circulate the gold. Right? He spent gold. You don't know how money is currency, even though money is not really real. But if we're going to treat it like it's real, then money is currency. It's got to flow. If it doesn't flow, then it's stagnant. Anything that's stagnant, including money, including currency, it doesn't do well. Even for those of you who've been in the gangs and the gang life and all that stuff and hood life and actually had at some point, maybe you had $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 in cash. Maybe you had millions at some point, tens and ones and fives and twos and 20s and 30s and hundreds, and you knew how much it was because you had a certain amount of each rubber band, and rubber bands could even be color coded and all that. If you keep the money and don't circulate it and you just hide it, right? How many of, or maybe some of you don't know, I don't know this for certain, let's say alleged, right? I've never seen this, right? But let's say some of you have been around this before. You've seen enough movies to where you've seen persons do stuff similar to this, right? Have you not noticed that like rats get to the money? Mice get to the money, things begin to eat it. Bugs get in it. It gets really dirty, it gets really nasty, mold and stuff gets in there. Money is some of the dirtiest stuff that exists, right? So one of the things they have to do eventually, if you're going to keep it, is you have to launder it. You got to spend it, but you can't keep it. If you keep it, right, it's nice to have the money, but then you can't spend the money. So you got to find lawful or legal means to be able to spend it, right? But it has to flow. If it stays stagnant, it gets bad, whether you're talking about physically or not. Whether you're talking about physically or not, right? So anyways, here we are, people who have been taken away from how money actually works contextually. Did I say Shalom, Minister? I'm sorry, Shalom, Brother Yahasav. Excuse me. Right. So verse 8, he asks us a question, or of the people of Yah, we ask Yah a question. Will a man rob Yah? He says, you have robbed me. And then we said, what? Wherein have we robbed thee? And he says, in what? In tithes and offering. How you doing, Sister Dawn? How you doing, Sister Tamika? How have you robbed me again? Yes, you have robbed me in tithes and in offering. And how? And in what? In tithes and in offerings. Now remember, he said to the Levites, since you're giving me moldy bread, and since you're giving me, animals that you wouldn't use, and animals that you don't even want around your other animals, since you're giving me the leftovers, the stank stuff, the stuff that's making the temple so putrid that persons don't even want to be in it. He says, since that's what you give me, beloved, he said, this is what I'm going to do for you. Since that's what you give me, right? He said, this is what I'm going to do for you. Since you'll give me all that, and right, remember he said earlier in chapter 2, he said to the Levites, all your blessings are cursed. Now watch how deep this goes. Verse 9, he says he reestablishes, since we're robbing him with tithes and offering, he says, ye are cursed with a curse. Why? For ye have robbed me, even this whole nation. It's not just the Levites. The Levites are the one that get the most because you the top, right? The husbands have been messing up and offering up marriages he don't even want, right? But now he's saying the whole nation, whether you say back in the day from the rooter to the tutor, the whole nation, right? The whole nation has robbed me. Verse 10. So how do we, I'm sorry. You have robbed me, even this whole nation. So what does Yah say is necessary to come out of this? And I know tithes are more than just money. I'm just talking about money because a lot of persons nowadays, you keep seeing this bogus doctrine out here that says that Yah doesn't want anything to do with money. Matter of fact, you guys are saying that he's talking about only corn and this and that or whatever. All right, watch this. Let's see where this goes. Verse 10. Bring ye, that's plural, all of you. Bring ye, because remember, if you see thee, thine, thy, that wasn't something that they said when they spoke English. That was the way they wrote, because they wanted you to know what was singular or an individual or individual group, or what was plural, right? Or many groups. So in essence, they would say thee, thine, right? Thy, that meant an individual or an individual group. If they said ye, right, or your or you, right, they were trying to make it a point to let you know they were talking about many, plural. So watch this. Watch the word usage. Bring ye. That's everybody, right? Bring ye what? All. How many of the tithes? How much is all? They used to say in the church, all means what? That's a true statement, whether they said it in church or not. All means what? All means all. So this is what he said. He said, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse. See, some of us miss this. Some of us go, oh, bring the tithes into this. Everything that's mine, so that says Yahavah, bring it into the storage house. The word house here also doubles for the word family. So if it's a storehouse, right? Like if you go to a clothing store, it's a storage facility for clothing. If you go to a grocery store, it's a storage facility for groceries, right? If you go to the drugstore, it's a storage facility for drugs. That's what he's talking about. So when he says bringing all of the tithes into the storehouse, it's a storage facility for families. If families need something, there should be a storage facility where we have set aside things for Yah. So bring ye, all of us should be doing what? Bringing our best to Yah of everything. Look, I know you don't want to hear this, but watch this. Right? Praise Yah for the gift that I was given and all this, right? These are gifts, so they work a little different, right? That being said, let's say Pastor Kofi one day is able to be blessed with like 10 of these. And Brother Dwayne, please don't get mad. I'm just talking law. I'm not saying I'm going to do this, okay? But Brother Dwayne has made all this fine, amazing, beautiful, great stuff that you see me wearing today, right? If let's say Pastor Kofi one day says, Brother Dwayne, can you make me 10 of these rings? He says, no problem. Pastor Kofi, no problem, little brother. I got you, right? He makes 10. You know what I'm supposed to do according to the law? I'm supposed to look at 10 of these bad boys and see which ones I like the most and find one I like best out of the 10. And guess what I'm supposed to do? Give it to somebody or put it in the storehouse. It's not mine. It belongs to Yah. The best. Because if I will give him my best, give, and it shall be given unto thee, Elohim's measure. Remember, the word measure here is tied to this word called rule. Why? Because a ruler is what you measure things by. So the one who rules, or the one who is the ruler, is what we look for the measurement. So whatever Yah receives, right, or sees us give, then the ruler will say, well, if you do it, I have to do it. I haven't used this example in a long time, but some of you will recall this once I begin to say it. If you go, watch this. If you were to go to, I am Anakitawaya, right? That's my so-called nation or so-called native tribe, persons say all that, right? But that's my so-called nation, earthly nation or fleshly nation as far as that part of me. If I were to go in front of a chieftain and I were to go there and give him something, I give him my best. You know why? Besides the fact that I would honor him, I would respect him. I would make sure there's certain things that are done that he knows that I respect his position. But I would make sure I give him my best. You know why? Because then he has to give me his best. He has to give me his best. If I go to Shwe, that's part of my bloodline DNA. If I go to Ashanti, to Shwe, to West Africa, to certain places or whatever, right? And I go before a chieftain, not only will I make sure that I bow and show respect, but I'm going to give them my best. You know why? Because whatever I give, this is how it works. They have to outgive me. You know why? Because if they don't, and it doesn't mean they have to outgive me by worth or value, but they have to outgive me as far as what it means to them, right? An offering, if you will, or something sacrificial. You know why? Because if I can outgive the chieftain, then that means that the chieftain is not a chieftain, but I am really over the chieftain. So if the chieftain wants to make sure that he asserts dominance still, he has to outgive me. You ever seen it, right? This is how kingdom works, right? So if we're giving to Yah, Yah cannot be outgiven. I'm not just talking about as far as you give $50, Yah will give you 55. I'm talking about percentage. Now, I'm not saying it's not always apples to apples. You can give Yah $50. He might make sure that he takes care of your house 50 times, right? But hear what I'm saying. So it's not always apples to apples, dollar to dollar. But we like to talk about money. We're talking about finances, even though finances doesn't mean money, but we're talking about finances today. So let's just talk about money, because a lot of people like talking about money. So if you give Yah, let's say you give him 1% of what you have, then he gives you 1% of what he has allotted for you. But his 1% is better than yours. Give, and it shall be given unto thee, Elohim's measure, because he is the ruler. So whatever you give, if you follow his rule, then he has to give you the rule. Now watch this. A lot of you might not catch what I'm saying here. Watch this. This is revelation for you. This is a little bonus for you tonight, right? If I take a furlong, if you don't know what a furlong is basically means, I'm talking about measuring from here. I think it's from the middle finger, the tip of the middle finger, and it's down to the bottom of the elbow, right? Now, if you know this, you'll see that sometimes it'll tell you certain things in the Bible, certain things in Israel were measured by this many furlongs, et cetera, right? But furlongs are different for each person, right? No shade to my big sister in Yahavah and our great Elder Tamer, but Elder Tamer is what, 5 feet, and I'm 6'5.5". So our furlongs ain't gonna be the same, right? My son is about 5'1", 5'2" now, maybe a little more than that, right? Our furlongs, even though he a big boy for being 10, but our furlongs are not the same, right? We can talk about cubits, furlongs, like different things, right? But when you look in, but then you start looking, when it starts talking about the measurement of what's going to happen in the kingdom of heaven in Revelation, it says that the angel is going to his measurement, but the angel is way bigger than you and I. So what we're talking about as far as measurements for the kingdom of heaven, when it's talking about furlongs, when it's talking about cubits, when it's talking about all these different things, the measurements they're using there are so much greater. Because why? Because the angel that's making it is greater. The measurements, at least that are attached to him, are greater than you and I. Now imagine Yah, who is so big. This is how big Yah is referred to in the Bible. He is so vast and so mighty that it says that the earth is his footstool, and that the heaven is his throne. Now, we're not 100% sure if this can say that the heaven, therefore, the heaven of heavens that he lives in is literally what he sits on, right? Or is it the Laquia? Is this? Or it could be the Laquia, where it's talking about what you call the firmament, the Laquia. It could be talking about the universe, but he is so vast that when he sits down, it describes him as sitting down upon the heavens, right? And putting his feet as a resting place upon the earth. This is why the Bible declares that when he looks down at us, it says, "How do you love us? We are nothing but ants to you." How you doing, Sister Shirley? Thanks for being part of the community, James. This is you see what's going on here, right? So this is how vast and big. So if we give Yah 10%, and Yah is so vast that his 10%, think about it. If you give Yah your big toe, but his big toe covers a whole chunk of the earth, because earth is his footstool. Right? You need to give him what he asked for, because if you give him what he asked for, when he gives you what you can't even imagine, right? Could you imagine an ant did something nice for you, and so you decided to go ahead and give an ant a whole piece of cheesecake? An ant couldn't even think of what to do with a whole piece. She couldn't pick it up. As strong as an ant is, couldn't pick it up. But man, a cheesecake could make an ant colony live and survive for generations. Right? That's what we are to Yah. And he loves us enough that while we are like that, in size or in difference, right? Even possibly in deference, if you want to go there, but in difference, he still loves us. He loves us so, right? He loves us so. He looks at all of us. He knows us by name. How you doing, Shalom, Pastor Houston? He knows us by name. He loves us like that, and he says, "You're robbing me." He says, "Stop robbing me. If you want this to stop," he says, "Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there might be meat in mine house, that there might be provision for my family." Right? He says, "Bring all the tithes." How much is all again? Is tithes just only food? No. Is tithes just only what you feel like? No. He said, "Bring the best," because the whole thing in this whole book, or the bird, or the name of the scroll is the burden of the word of Yahavah to Israel. This is a burden to teach and to preach, because we are still trying to say, Yah will give you bits and pieces of who we are. We won't give you the best time, but we'll make sure we say a quick prayer over our food, but we're not going to pray. I'll listen to a couple songs and be like, yeah, these joints hitting. Yeah, I'm one of them ones, right? But when it's time to get up, or when it's time to go into around other persons and stuff, I'll play all the stuff that everybody else play. He says, stop messing with me. Bring ye everything. Give me the best of everything. Bring it all into the storehouse, that there might be meat in mine house. And watch this. And now here's the big deal. Here's the one that we don't talk about this part of it as much. But he says this right here, and I love this. This is Yah standing on business. He said this. He said, bring it in. And he said, and prove me. Prove me now, herewith, saith Yahavah of hosts, if I will not open the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, that there shall not be room enough to receive it. This is saying that basically, matter of fact, let me just read the next verse so I can let the verse prove it to you. Verse 11, and I will rebuke who? The devourer for your sakes, and he will not destroy the fruits of your ground, neither shall your vine cast her fruit before time in the field, saith Yahavah of hosts. What are we talking about? If you read your word, you will discover that when Israel is disobedient, there's a drought. That's a salam right there. When Israel is disobedient, there's a drought. Salah. When Israel is disobedient, there's a drought. It doesn't rain. Matter of fact, if you go deep into your word, you'll discover that one of the reasons Yah says that he didn't allow it to rain in the beginning was because there was no man yet to even till the ground. So why would he allow it to rain? So the ground took care of itself. If there's nobody obedient to watch over the ground, why would he have the ground have rain happen where the ground can't take care of itself? Uh-oh. So when he's saying that there's no food growing, they're going through drought right now. See, now we get a little different part of the story, because now, wait a minute. So Israel has been messing up, doing wrong. They only have little bits and pieces to give. They're running out of stuff, and they're going to everybody else, trying to get in with them and trying to be about their stuff. Why? Because their disobedience has allowed it to where Yah has said, hey, what should be a blessing to you is now a curse. Everything. Now it's gotten to the place to where it says this in verse 11. It says that the fruits of your ground have been destroyed, not right, and your vines, right, have cast their fruit before their time. In other words, they're never ripe. Right? If the fruit is being cast, in other words, if the fruit, like we have mulberry trees, right? We have some in the front, we have some in the back of the property, and if the mulberry trees, we've tasted them before. We've seen some even fall early sometimes. If they fall too early, you pick it up, you try to eat it. Not quite right. Right? So he's saying it's not, the crop is failing. It's like when you had the blight, and you had the potato famine and all that stuff. Right? If you studied the history of the potato famine, when there was a big thing, it wasn't just Ireland, by the way, it was all of Europe, but we focused on the Irish because they were, big on potatoes. But it was crucial. And once the potatoes started to hit, it was not just them, a lot of stuff. And it was the same disease that was hitting everything. And when it started to hit that, you started to see, oh man, like everybody's going down. Right? Also, if it's out of season, right? It can be difficult. right? Because also, you're giving things in certain seasons. And when you're giving them in certain seasons, it helps you to get ready for the next season. So he says that everything's out of pocket. And a lot of persons don't realize this, that when we as Israel, when we as kingdom, when we as human beings are out of pocket, the world gets out of pocket. No wonder icebergs are tripping. You think this is just people arguing over stuff and it's only about, no, the carbon emissions and all that, sure. But who the persons that are putting the stuff out? Right? No wonder it's hard to be able to get food that actually has the nutrients in it, that actually has the chlorophyll properly in it, that has the magnesium in it. Why can't we find it? Because nobody's making sure that all the crops are being rotated. No wonder we can't make sure that there's different grains and different things, because you know what? Things eat off of each other, like the three sisters, where you have corn and you have squash and you have beans that are literally eating off of each other, and also making sure that they're feeding each other simultaneously, so that when somebody can come, they can get, if they ate the beans, you're eating the corn. If you're eating the corn, you're eating the squash. You're getting everything together. But when we come away from our nature or how we were designed, or when we don't give Yah what's first, including even what he has told us to do naturally or naturally, then guess what? We start to see decline, and you get enough decline and you start to see, well, somebody else has something. The grass looks greener until you go to the other side and realize, oh, they cursed. But then I can't stay here because I'm cursed, because I'm trying to chase the one that's cursed. If I want to be blessed, I got to get back to giving Yah what belongs to him. Oh, my greatness. Oh, my greatness. That's right. The standards have fallen. Right? Will Iran rob Yah? Yes, you have robbed him. How have we robbed him? In tithes and offering. You're cursed with a curse. Because you've robbed him, the whole nation is cursed. So what do? Bring ye all, not just the corn and the grain, not just what you feel like. That's what got us in trouble in the first place in Malachi chapter 1 and 2, is to continue to give him bits and pieces of stuff and chase after idols and chase after women and chase after all this stuff. That's not what he has called us to take care of and to keep and to love. That's right. Their standards aren't holding up. So now, verse 10, bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there might be meat in mine house, and prove me now herewith. So test and prove. See if I'm telling the truth. Prove me. I promise you, I'm big Yah out here, right? I'm big Yeezy out here. I'm the real Yeezy. I'm big Yah out here, right? I'm big Yah out here. Test and prove. I'm 10 toes down. Thus saith Yahavah. I'm not Yahavah. I'm just representing right now. Thus saith our Lord Yahavah. He says, bring everything in here and see if I'm telling the truth. Bring it in. Become a nation. Take care of each other. Do what I told you to do. And see if I don't reverse the curse, and make sure that now it rains, and make sure that now you can have your fruit in its season, and make sure that it's not out here to where you're literally watching everything shrivel up around you and trying to figure out what's going on. I told you what was going on. Right? That's why I'm sitting right, and I'm all this is happening right before I send Yahashavai. Right? Right before I send Yahashavai. Right? And I send John the Baptist to make the way straight, to tell you who's coming. I'm telling you what's going on. Remember, he said before this, who was going to be able to stand in the last days? You're going to have clean hands. You're going to have to be tempted. He's going to have to see what's going on with you. Verse 12. If we do this, what does it say in verse 12? Praise Yah. And all, how many? So you got to give all the tithes and offering into the storehouse, bring them in. But he says, if you do this, he says, all the nations shall what? Shall call you Barak, shall call you blessed. For ye shall be a delightsome land. See, right now you're not a delightsome land, saith Yahavah of hosts. So right now you're not a delightful land if everything is cursed. It's not delightful to be in a place where you can't grow crops. It's not delightful to be in a place to where you don't want to go to the temple, or you don't want to go to have assembly, because everybody's giving so much bad offering and stuff that it kind of smells and stinks and flies all around on the inside of a place that's supposed to be clean and delightful. But he says, if you would just simply be obedient and do what I tell you, things become delightsome. The land becomes delightsome. Verse 13, your words, as we said earlier, your words have been stout against me, saith Yahavah. Yet ye say, what have we spoken so much against thee? Your words have been stout. Remember, we just talked about it. That basically is like him saying the audacity. Forgive me once again, sisters, but that whole thing, you got a pair on you. The audacity, you got to have some courage. He says, I give you this. I'll give you this much. for you to be treating me like you treating me, man, you got to be right to come against big Yah like this, to come against your husband, the one who took you out of Kemet, the one who allowed you to have this land, the one who gave you the wife of your youth, and now you would dare mistreat. You got to have some nerve. That's better. You got to have some nerve. I feel like a little child, but still, there's some nerve you have to come against the Most High, the which you becoming. He says, I'll give you that. Right? You are courageous to come against me and say that, and then have the audacity to look me in the eye after I tell you that, and to sit there and tell me, oh yeah, when have we spoken this against thee? Verse 14, Yah says that ye have said, it is vain, it is empty, it is like vapor to serve Elohim. He said, you said, what's the point? Does it sound familiar? What's the point of serving him? And what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance? Why should we even keep the law? Now remember, he said, this is another thing we need to squash too. He said, I'm about to send myself on earth and send the angel or the messenger before me to make the way straight, talking about Yahashavai, the Messiah, and talking about John the Baptist to come before him, right? Well, he says here, watch verse 14. You say, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance or kept his law? Meanwhile, when we go all the way back to chapter 3, verse 1 of Malachi, right, or what we call Malachi, you will discover that he says that he's sending him so that you can be tempted and he can show you how the ordinances and the law are supposed to be performed. Meaning that Yahashavai is being sent because we've been caught. We were so far. One of the reasons, obviously there's many, but one of this reason specifically here is, hey, he needs to be sent because we're so outside the law, or as Paul has taught us, we're outside of the law of the spirit. And we made it the law of the flesh, or the law of sin. We wanted to be what we wanted to be, rather than what Yah told us it was before the foundations of the world, or of the earth, aras. So he says, no. Ye have said it's vain to serve me, and you said it doesn't even profit you to do the law. But he just said earlier, I'm going to send myself upon the earth realm to make sure that I get you righteous concerning the law. Remember, the word righteousness means to be in right lawful standing. Thinking it was real, it turns out to be astroturf. You see that? Ye have said it is vain to serve Elohim, and what profit is it that we have kept his ordinance and that we have walked mournfully before Yahavah of hosts? Remember, he said earlier, we talked about this earlier already, but hey, we've been giving these sacrifices and crying. Yah said, yeah, I saw your tears on the altar. But what do they mean if all the things you put on the altar are things that you wouldn't give to anybody else? Why would you give them to me and expecting me to be all of a sudden like excited about your tears? Right? Ain't nothing worse than a Karen. I know Karen actually is supposed to be Kaddish, which is supposed to be great grace, who one is. But, y'all know what the world says nowadays a Karen is. Ain't nothing worse than the tears of a Karen. Right? Trying to get what you want, trying to get somebody in trouble, trying to get somebody locked up, right? Trying to get somebody offed. I saw Karen the other day, young Karen. Right, she didn't get out of it though, but she caused a whole accident and had all this carnage around her. All these persons died because she was drunk. She was coming out of the drunken stupor and all this pain. She's laying on the ground, fell out of her car and all this stuff. And then when they started saying, "Oh yeah," witnesses started saying she caused it. She's the reason. All of a sudden, she started yelling and yelling and yelling and yelling. No, you going to jail. You took lives, and you was drunk. Yeah, you got to go. Right? And that's what we do. We sit up here and all this stuff, and Yah starts pointing out, you got to do better. You got to stop doing this. You got to stop being about all this. Oh no. Why would you come? No, he said, I'm not hearing it this time. Israel, is Karen. He said, I'm not listening to you on this anymore. He said, you should have had this together. I've been telling you over and over again. You've been doing this to me for a while. I've hated Esau and loved you, and you dare tell me that I don't love you? I could have let Esau, who wrestled the blessing, the birthright away from you, right? I could have let him keep the birthright and the blessing his entire life. I made sure that Isaac, your father, tripled down. Even though you deceived him to get the blessing, when he realized what was going on, he realized that Esau was out and all the stuff, he thought about it, he tripled down on the blessing and still gave it to you. And here it is that you would dare tell me that I don't have love for you. Thus saith Yahavah of hosts. Verse 15, last verse for the night. We'll come back to verse 16. We'll finish 16, 17, I think 18. Yeah, 16, 17, 18 of chapter 3. We'll finish that up on Thursday, excuse me. Verse 15, and now we call the proud happy. See, I said this earlier, persons don't get this. When we talk about tithes, offering, living sacrifice, all these terms, it's Yah is only asking 10%. I know somebody said that's a big ask. No, it's not. But even in that, he's only asking 10%. He's only asking for a small minority. And it all belongs to him anyways. But he's only asking for a small minority because the king is not asking for your tribute because he needs it, right? He's asking for your tribute because he's trying to make sure that you comprehend that you need him. And if you give your best to him, if he's really the king he says he is, he'll be able to give you better than what you gave him and more than what you gave him. Right? But the problem is now when you have the wrong mentality, it spills into other areas of your life. So now, watch this, beloved. Look at this, beloved. So now, since we don't get tithes and offering correct, what does that extend itself to? What does that lend itself to? Well, now those who are too proud to give Yah what he deserves on the altar, well, guess what? You have to make excuses for it. So now we call the proud happy. Hallelujah. This is a word right here, right? If you're too proud to give him what he deserves and what he commanded here, then you got to start making excuses. You got to start changing the law. You got to start changing the word. You got to start saying, no, that's not what he really meant. That's not this. You got to start going way out your way to make up new doctrine and new stuff. Because if you follow what he said, So he says, and now we call the proud happy. We got to call them happy. We can't just say they're proud. We have to say, no, they're happy and they're doing their thing. And then, no. But how are you really happy? And your actions are causing persons to not be able to eat. You can't even eat anymore. And all you got left over, one of the reasons you're putting bad stuff on the altar is because the leftovers you get for the people, or some of them aren't even leftovers. Some of them are just the only thing that's there because the crop is rank. So now you got to call those who are too proud to give to Yah. You got to start calling them happy. You can't call them proud because the persons who are in leadership, they're busy telling you why you shouldn't give to Yah because they don't give to Yah. So you got to be careful who you following. This is why you got to know the law greater than the scribes and the Pharisees. Some of you can't wait for somebody, and no offense, no shade, I'm just telling you who it is. Some of y'all can't wait to listen to somebody at IUIC tell you, hey, this is why we tell y'all that you don't have to go ahead and give anything. You just give what you can. Meanwhile, look at the way that these cats are dressed. Meanwhile, watch these brothers in Baltimore. Watch these brothers right in DC when they go out to the corner. Watch the brothers who be out there in Mississippi. I know they be out there. I haven't been through there, but I know they be out there because there were sisters and brothers who invited us over there, but we couldn't make it work. Right? And how they're out there and they be and I know not all of them be like this, but I'm just saying, look at the ones who are the leaders who are telling you just give your best. Meanwhile, though, they don't give anything to Yah, and they from head to toe gold. I'm not talking about kind of sort of. I'm talking about straight up like Mansa Musa. Look at their outfits, right? Gold and silver. They'll wear the stuff that's dressed down for some of the television stuff they're doing, but look at them when they be out there. I promise you. Why they tell you not to give, right? Because they're not going to give. They need an excuse. It's like, I'm sorry to bring him up again, but he's just easy. It's low-hanging fruit. I'm sorry. I know we ain't supposed to always reach for low-hanging fruit. Excuse me. Pastor Jamal Bryant. Why is the reason why he says, hey, we need to make sure that we allow women's bodies. Who are we to tell women what to do with their bodies? And he says it from the pulpit. You know why he says that? Because when he was in Baltimore, why did he run all the way down to Georgia, try to restart his whole life and act like nobody was supposed to know what he was doing? He went down there because he was up here cheating on his wife and was paying all these women to have that A word that rhymes with extortion. Right. And so you just go, oh, he's just no, he's making an excuse for his behavior and you're falling for it. You're falling for, first of all, he's a fallen angel. He's a fallen messenger, if you will. Right. He's not giving you the truth and he's giving you what will support him and what will defend him and defend his stance and his putrid behavior. You got to redefine it. He's got to redefine it so that you will allow it and you'll follow it. You want in your flesh to follow it, not realizing that he is being led by the flesh too. And if he'll go ahead and take care of you, then later on you're gonna have to defend him too. If he's changing the word for you, when you find out that he did these sisters dirty, you'll still have to defend him because he's defended your dirtiness. So we have to call the proud. Those who are too proud to give what Yah says, we got to call them happy now. Yeah, lovers of selves. They'll make excuses, for real. So we got to call the proud happy. Yea, even they that work wickedness. They that work wickedness. Not just do wicked works, that'd be one thing, but they work wickedness. You see the difference? If one does wicked work, okay, like dang, you ain't have to do all that, bro. That was kind of wicked. Versus the dude that wakes up and says, my work is wickedness. The sister that says, my work is wickedness. Can I give you look, I'm sorry. The children should be, well, semi in the bed. I don't know what your children's bedtimes are, but should be bedtime for the most part, right? There's some sister that's been coming through my Facebook news feed or whatever they call it. It's been crazy work. And she's very popular. And it's very new age and stuff. It's witchcraft too. And she comes on and she gets in these very provocative poses, wears stuff to where obviously people want to poke and look and see if you can actually see a piece of this and blah, blah. And her whole spiel is like, you got to let your breathe. Why would we say that we worship Elohim or a God that's a man, and you know that everything comes out of a woman and everything comes out of sex, everything is sex. So why are we open about it? And everybody loves to follow this person, She working wickedness. It's not that she's doing some wicked work. No, she works wickedness. And what it was to say here, those that work wickedness, they are set up. Whoever that sister is, I'm not saying she ain't got no talent, but listen to the lyrics that she be singing. Or she became popular, especially because persons were stealing her stuff, and they shouldn't be stealing her stuff. That being said, listen to what she's saying. She worked wickedness. We can't wait to talk about 50 Cent. Why? Because he worked wickedness. Why do we like 50? Somebody shot him, and that person ended up dead. Why do we like 50, man? You see all the stuff that he put on here about power and all that. Is he power? I think he's power, right? I don't know which one, right? Why do we like 50 Cent? Man, he trolls everybody. He works wickedness. And when he works wickedness well enough, what do? We set him up. We don't want any definitions on marriage. We want any definitions on how to raise your child. None of this stuff doesn't really matter. We're there for each other, this and that or whatever. It sounds nice until you realize it's Will and Jada. They work wickedness. Mess them little babies up. Baby boy messed up. You done slept with my best friend. You're going to have my father and me on the red table thing and then mess around with him while he was, I don't know. Let's not say he's underage. That's alleged thought process on my man. Let's just say he's young and obviously he's being manipulated by somebody older than him and got so manipulated, so messed up, and everybody came at him. All of a sudden, next thing you know, now all of a sudden he's gay. That's what he says. And that's what happens with persons, whether they are abused by men or women when they're underage or when they're young. They usually say, oh, yeah, I think I'm on the other side. It's a way of them taking control back or not being manipulated by somebody to mess with them. So when Jada messed with that boy realized all the stuff that happened to him. This was a wicked woman. It was somebody who worked wickedness. So now he thinks, how do I combat this? I get away from it, but does not realize now he's working wickedness. But what do we do when this happens? We set you up. We lift you up. We say, this is the standard. We say, we should sow into this. When Yah says, you won't give me what I deserve, and I've never been wicked. I've never worked wicked. I can't look upon sin. I've delivered you from wickedness. I've freed you from wickedness. I continue to deal with your wickedness and forgive. But you continue to work wickedness and set those up who do. You call the proud happy, and those that work wickedness, you set them up. Even, yea, last thing for tonight, they that tempt Elohim are even delivered. Now it's become that you even say those who try to tempt, right? Doesn't the word say, do not tempt the Most High? But those that tempt him, now we say they're delivered. Now, this could be looked at two ways. It's kind of a bar. We could look at this as a double entendre too, because there's another side to this where we can look at this and say, well, even they are delivered. We could say, well, you know what? They have a chance to be delivered and get it correct. All right. We'll continue with this series on Thursday. We should end it. So we should finish up chapter 3, verses 16 through 18. On Thursday, we should finish up the whole thing by finishing up chapter 4 on Friday. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Thank you, Sister Michelle. Not sure if you're on. I didn't see your name pop up, but if you watch this recording, thank you once again for picking this series out or asking us to go through this. We appreciate you. I think this is the second one that you've had us go through, and it's gone through really well. I think we went through Psalm. Which Psalm was it? Psalm something. I apologize. I can't recall which one. We went through one of the Psalms. She has some great suggestions for us to do some study. So thank you for suggesting this. Hopefully you're getting something out of this series. We appreciate you. This series is on YouTube, so you can go on YouTube. You can look it up. We also have the links. Thank you guys who post the links, and I'm able to post them when you post them on Facebook. So you can also look for the links on Facebook. But we have these links on YouTube, so you can look them up. Thank you so much. Hopefully you saw the schedule that was sent out earlier today. I will try my best to send it out tomorrow. But tomorrow I will be on live session, and we won't have an evening live session tomorrow, but we will have our graft in session tomorrow. And just look on the schedule for the rest of the week. Ministerial staff, you should see the schedule in a little bit tonight. And to everybody, thank you for being on. So we give our honor and praise to the Most High. We give our praise and honor to Him for my wife, the Honorable Amma. And remember, as always, beloved, that you are loved, you're necessary, you're majestic, you're fearfully, wonderfully made, and you, which is all of us working together, will be the reason why people who are in the system no longer have to be of it. Shalom, take care, be safe, be obedient, and make sure that you give Yah what is due to Him, including all the glory and all the praise and all the honor. All right. Take care, love. Take care. Be loved. Love y'all, family. My Shabbat. Tedah, my Shabbat. Achavah, my Shabbat. At Yahavah, at Tesadah, at Yahashavai. Thank you. And love you, family. Righteous family of Yahavah and of Israel. All right. Take care. Peace. Thank you again, brother.